Hello there, dear listener. We hope you're enjoying this lovely discussion. If you're not already aware, this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. A Pan-African Nationalist and Garveyite network come to showcasing the rich and varied thoughts of African people. We have an exciting lineup of shows that we think you'll enjoy, including
the Victor Medlin podcast.
I think black people require too much buy-in. Like, we constantly have to sell black people on things that are beneficial to black people.
The Pro-Black Perspective podcast.
I'm fearful that our people are not really studying how to get ahead, and we're kind of, continually staying behind.
The Harsh Reality podcast.
It don't matter. I think people so dumbed down, it wouldn't matter what you reveal to them. They still are in the matrix. They're in the simulation. They're going to keep doing what they did. They lemmings. So it really don't matter.
The Learning Curve podcast.
Sexual access has never given you economic empowerment. The only person who has ever been economically empowered by a sexual relationship is the wasp and his woman.
The Cathedral Cheek Show.
When we start rising up to fight for our own, I guarantee you they'll stop doing what they're doing. I guarantee you they would have let their brother go. They was waiting to see what black folks were going to do.
Brother Bakari podcast.
Black people love to claim folks that hate them, right? But they are slave masters, and they are ashamed of who they really are.
The Forecast Radio.
Like, if you come to the same deity as, like, your enemy, and that God blesses your enemy more than you may want to reconsider who you pray to,
And Tanzan, African Mind.
Because generally, a welcoming of everyone, sometimes to my consternation, I think that they should be less, welcoming.
If you love our podcast network, we would be grateful if you could rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and check out our website at www.kwazradio.com for more information. Thank you for tuning in. And now, back to the program.
Shit, which one was I using? Was it? Okay. You know what? I don't think I even have the YouTube comments on. Well, it is what it is. Let's, we ain't got no comments, we ain't got no viewers. But, to the question today, we're just going to have some fun today. Question is, can I use AI, LLM to write a Pan-African Nationalist comedy set? I know you're asking yourself, what's this got to do with anything? You out there in Africa, why would you even want to write a comedy set? I don't, and that's why I'm using AI. That's one. But two, by the way, Tyler Solomon's here, so shout out to Tyler Solomon. But two, why would I? Because look, my book's not reaching nobody, man. Like at the end of the day, I'll tell you all this. In fact, like obviously, I'm not gonna pair up with Dave Chappelle. Okay, Dave Chappelle. I don't find him funny. I don't like him personally, but he's a comedy giant. He's been through the ropes. He played one crackhead, and then he played another crackhead, and now he's one of the big guys, multi-millionaire with a non-African wife. Not hating, but what I'm saying is this though. He had the audience with, at least I know the president of Ghana. For all I know, in fact, he has a joke where he says he one time left a voicemail for Barack Obama. I'll tell you this: I never left a voicemail for Barack Obama. Right? I don't know anybody in American government. I'll be honest with you. I don't know anybody in American government. And I don't know anybody in Ghanaian government. I don't even know anybody in Tanzanian government. So what I'm saying is that if you could, pretend to be a crackhead or pretend to be under the influence of marijuana or what have you, right? And make a few people laugh. The reality is that in this world, if you're an entertainer, you can have, you could possibly get broader influence than, like a scholar. Now, I'm not saying that scholars don't have influence, because of course they do. Okay, especially if you write for the main journalist organizations and you write for the the ruling elite. But because, well, of course, I'm now in Africa. I have two problems, honestly. One, I'm communicating in English primarily, and two, my the country that I was born in, is the hostile country. Anyway, so my question today would be, can you use AI to make some things? So I'm just going to show you guys what it came up with. I don't like how non-zoomed it. Let me see if I can zoom in a little more. And then also not show things on the side. So yeah, I think that's enough. So the question becomes, I say to the AI, I say, look, help me out. All right? I want to spread African nationalism, but I hardly sell books. I'm interested in pursuing a comedy career, though. So give me an example of a highly political African nationalist comedy stand-up. And what I'm going to do is it's going to give me some stand-up. It's not the best stand-up, but the thing about AI is that you can continually refine it so that it gradually becomes a little better. And then you could probably even make it modular. And of course, what you can do, I would say, is eventually work out something of your own. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, so this is not an AI. This is not an artificial intelligence. This is a large language model. Okay? You can call it artificial intelligence, but it would be, it's not the same as artificial intelligence. Okay? So eventually people started calling, I think it's like AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, to be like, oh yeah, this thing can think, this thing has a consciousness, or maybe this thing can just think. Whereas a large language model is just a really complex algorithm. So, when you say artificial intelligence, and of course, some people are going to say, no, you're wrong. Some people are going to say, yes, you're right. The point is this, though. Like, artificial intelligence, we've had that for a long time. And when I say we've had that, I don't just mean like white folk. I mean, you can program a chess game and then, make it follow a certain, number of algorithms. Or you could program a tic-tac-toe game. That's really easy. And say, if you do this, you do that, if you do that. And then eventually it like imitates like a human thinker. That is, like that you could say is artificial intelligence in parallel to this thing, this large language model. Okay? Now, that's not to say this large language model is not way more impressive and way more advanced and way better. It's just that it can't think. It can't think. And on top of it can't think, it can't observe anything. Like the thing about this is that I tend to call it a glorified search engine, but it's really, really helpful and it's really, really useful. And you'll see pretty briefly. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this comedy skit. What I'm going to do is my thing is, why don't I get notifications from my own videos? Like, I'll be like, yo, I'm going to release a video, and then I don't get notifications. I have no idea how to get to it. But anyway, wait, is this it right here? Yeah, I can't even find my own video. Usually you want to open the video on the phone so that you can watch the chat, while it's running, but it's just practically impossible. So what I'm going to say is this. All right, large language model, okay? Hey, I got it live. Oh, I got it. Found it. All right, so that you can watch the chat. Yeah, if you guys hear the echo, that's because I'm living in a freaking mansion. No, I'm not a mansion, but it is what it is. Let's go. Crafting a comedy stand-up. Oh yeah, so this is the ChatGPT, right? It's a large language model. It says crafting a comedy stand-up set that incorporates African nationalism while also entertaining and engaging can be challenging but rewarding. Here's a hypothetical example. So the thing I wanted to say about this guy is this. This large language model is basically a white man. Okay? This large language model is basically a white man. You're going to see a lot of its humor is basically white boy humor, right? And I'm not saying it's a white man because it was trained on white material, because it was trained on white material, but it just thinks like a white guy. You know, you tell it, right, African nationalism, and it's going to start sounding a little bit too African American and making jokes that are a little bit too African. You know, oh man, you gotta watch out for that Serengeti. You know, you're like, what the fuck? Like, who says that? You know? But anyway, so he says, look, you walk confident. And here's another thing I want you to show too. This thing knows you. Like, these people have so much data and information on you that it's not like taking anything that you don't recognize. You know? Or it's not taking anything that, like, I don't know, like basically somebody who didn't know who you were might write this differently. Okay? But they're like, I'm like, hey, write me something about, like for instance, you ask a random black person, hey, write me something about African nationalism. They might not even know what it, how you're going to dress. This thing who never saw, this thing never saw a black person in its life. Okay? It says you walk confidently onto the stage wearing traditional African attire, perhaps a dashiki, with a backdrop featuring the colors of the Pan-African flag. This shit knows you. Like, these white folk got books and books on you, and they have digitized it, and they've been training machines on it. But let me not interrupt it. Let me try to be my comedy self. Matter of fact, I'm going to stand up just for this, okay? All right, let's go. Hello, beautiful people. Let me hear you make some noise if you're proud to be African tonight. Now, let me tell you, being African is like being part of the world's coolest club. We've got the rhythm, the culture, the resilience, and hey, have you seen our food? Nothing beats a good old plate of jollof rice. But you know what's not so cool? The way our continent has been treated over the years. We've got more riches than we know what to do with, but somehow we're still struggling. It's like having the recipes for the best jollof, but forgetting to turn on the stove. Right? Anyway, have you ever noticed how whenever Africa's in the news, it's either about poverty, war, or some dictator with the title longer than my grandmother's stories? I mean, come on. We've had enough presidents for life to last several lifetimes. But hey, I don't know. It's like, you gotta do that long pause, that long embarrassing pause when you do like a bad joke. All right. But anyway, hey, it's not all doom and gloom. We're a continent of survivors, innovators, and dreamers. We're reclaiming our narrative one joke at a time because, let's face it, laughter is the best medicine, and boy, do we need a prescription refill. So tonight, let's celebrate our Africanness, our unity, and our resilience. Let's laugh in the face of adversity and dance to the rhythm of our own drum because together, united, we're unstoppable. Thank you, and may the spirit of Ubuntu guide us all. You exit the stage amidst cheers and applause, leaving the audience both entertained and inspired by your comedic take on African nationalism. So here's the thing, you gotta just, and the thing about AI is this, not AI. I mean, I'll call it AI because that's what everybody calls it. But like I said, it's an LLM, right? But either way, well, good thing about this is that you could critique it, and it's okay with critique. I will say, like I told it, it's not funny. But the way how fast it generated this, it's pretty impressive. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at Tyler. You didn't say if you thought it was funny or not. Don't quit my day job, right? But anyway, so we're gonna go to this next one. He says, I say that's not funny. He's like, look, so let me just critique some of this stuff. So it's way too short, obviously. Another thing is, jollof, right? Again, this is an African American. This is an African American's understanding of Pan-Africanism. This is a white, it's not African American. This is the European American's understanding of Pan-Africanism. So he's like, oh, what are those Pan-Africanists? They're those African Americans who eat jollof rice and wear dashikis. You know what I mean? It's not Nyere. Nyere, who you probably would never see in a dashiki. You don't see with the Pan-African colors. You don't see eating jollof rice, right? And again, even like if you were to go Namdi, if you go Namdi or you go, Kenyatta. Like pretty much nobody, in the limelight, if you will. One of the Pan-Africanists would you see in the dashiki with Pan-African flag and eating jollof, I mean, maybe the guy in Ghana, like maybe someone, like maybe again, you don't really see Nkrumah in dashiki, Pan-African flags or jollof rice, but so again, this is not a real Pan. It's what European Americans, what a white American thinks a Pan-Africanist is, but it's pretty impressive, no less, And of course, it's also a reflection of that. Now, this is actually a common joke. Titles longer than my grandmother's stories. That's a common joke in African American circles. That's another thing too. Like, oh man, we always have those titles, man. We got so many titles. In fact, I think I even heard what's his name? Nearly Fuller used that joke. But anyway, let's keep going. So he says, I understand humor can be subjective and crafting a politically charged comedy set can be tricky. Let's add more lighthearted elements and punchlines to the set. So let's go to the next one. Hey there, beautiful people. Let's kick off tonight with some Afrobeat and a sprinkle of African sass. All right, raise your hand if you've ever had to explain to someone that Africa isn't just one big safari park. Yeah, me too. I mean, last time I checked, lions weren't roaming the streets of Lagos, unless it's a traffic jam. Now, let's talk about African politics. It's serious when your president's age is measured in centuries, not years. I swear, some of the guys have been in power since the Stone Age. I mean, I respect my elders, but ruling the country from the Jurassic period? That's next level. Okay, that wasn't that bad. And what's up? I mean, it's high schoolish, right? It's not really sophisticated, but it's not that bad. And what's up with all these corruption scandals? It's like a game of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, except everyone's cheating and the prize is the country's treasury. If only embezzlement was an Olympic sport, we'd have more gold medals than Michael Phelps. Now, and that's another thing I want to point out too. So again, you see he's American, obviously. I don't have to keep reinforcing that he's American. But you notice that this is a freaking AI. And it notices how you have old presidents and you have rampant corruption. Now again, it is kind of focusing on Nigeria and stereotypes of Nigeria, right? With the president being old age, because again, not every African country has that, although a lot of them do. But when you keep saying the jollof, and you keep saying dashiki, and you say this and that, the streets of Lagos, you begin to peep. Oh yeah, this is not a Pan-Africanist. This is like a European American who is envisioning an African American who is envisioning Nigeria, Anyway, so but hey, despite and of course it's gonna keep doing this whole, I'm gonna say two jokes and then I'm going to tell you guys you're great and all that kind of stuff, which is corny, but it is what it is. So he says, but hey, despite the challenges, Africa is rising like a phoenix from the ashes. We've got entrepreneurs hustling harder than street vendors during rush hour. Innovation is in our DNA, from using mobile money to solve everyday problems to turning a recycled material into works of art. Who needs superheroes when you've got African ingenuity? So tonight, let's celebrate our resilience, our humor, and our unbreakable spirit. Because no matter what life throws at us, we'll always find a reason to dance, laugh, and come together as one big, colorful family. Thank you for joining me on this hilarious journey through African nationalism. You exit the stage, uproarious laughter and applause, leaving the audience in stitches, and with a newfound appreciation. This motherfucker think he Kevin Hart or something. You leave it in stitches, and with newfound appreciation for the power of comedy and addressing political issues. And by the way, I don't like Kevin Hart either, but I'm just saying. So he says you. So I say, so I don't need openings and closings for now, because I'll likely do it as a podcast, but give me an African nationalist Dave Chappelle. Like, imagine if we were actually proud to be black. So that was a little dig on Dave Chappelle. Brother Bakari's here, piece of black power, to the Brother Bakari. So he says, sure, here's a sketch imagining Dave Chappelle as an African nationalist comedian. Now again, I didn't want a sketch, so, it's this kind of corny thing he's going to do, but he's like, scene. A dimly lit comedy stage, Dave Chappelle dressed in a dashiki and a kufi hat, walks confidently onto stage, greeted by cheers and applause. What's up, my beautiful brothers and sisters? Tonight we're going to talk about something that's been on my mind lately. Being proud, being black, and being unapologetically African. No, I don't know how Dave Chappelle's voice is actually. You know, being African, I can't do it. But you know, being black is like being part of an exclusive club. We've got our own handshake, our own music, and let's not forget our own struggle. It's like we're members of the been through some stuff society, and we're just here to compare battle scars. But let's talk about African nationalism for a minute. You ever notice how, despite all the odds stacked against us, we still rise? It's like every time they try to knock us down, we bounce back up higher than a basketball in the hands of LeBron James. Now again, that's such a stupid, lame joke, you know? And it's so like white American. You know? Like who even, like, you know, bounce back higher than a basketball in, like, what does that even mean? You know, it's not like LeBron James is the giant or some shit. And you know, like I even like Shaquille O'Neal would make a little more sense. I mean, LeBron James is pretty tall. I'm not gonna hold you, but like, you know, he's not the tallest guy on the planet or some shit. And it's like the ball does us to bounce high, so I don't know. Anyway, and let's not even get started on the cultural influence. I mean, come on, who else can turn a simple dance move into a worldwide phenomenon? We've got more rhythm in our pinky toes than most people have in their entire bodies. But you know what really grinds my gears? The way they try to paint Africa as this dark, hopeless continent. It's like they forget about our ancient civilizations, our rich traditions, and our vibrant culture. Newsflash, folks. Africa's not just a charity case, it's the heartbeat of humanity. So tonight, let's celebrate our roots, our resilience, and our relentless pursuit of greatness. Because when you're black and proud, there's nothing in this world that can hold you back. Thank you, and may the spirit of our ancestors guide us on this beautiful journey called life. Dave Chappelle bows and so on and so forth. I'm like, okay, that was very corny. No basketball or music jokes. And of course, I forgot to tell her to get rid of the Dave Chappelle thing. So, and again, I'm just chilling, reading here. If you guys have a comment or a question or you want to like add to the set, let me know. He says, I understand. Let's dial it back and focus more on the pride and strength of African heritage without resorting to cliche. Here's a revised version. He says, scene, a cozy, intimate podcast studio. Dave Chappelle sits comfortably behind a microphone wearing a dashiki and a smile. What's happening, beautiful people? It's your brother Dave coming at you with some real talk tonight. You know I've been doing a lot of thinking lately. And it's time we had a conversation about what it truly means to be black and proud. Being African isn't just about the color of our skin or the continent we come from. It's about a legacy of resilience, strength, and beauty that runs through our veins like a mighty river. We've endured centuries of oppression, colonization, and systemic racism, and yet here we stand unbroken and unyielding. That's the kind of strength you can't learn in a history book. It's in our DNA. And let's not forget about our culture, from the rhythms of the drum to the poetry of our language. We bless the world with gifts that can't be measured in gold or diamonds. Our culture is our crown and we wear it with pride. So tonight, and it's always doing that so tonight, let's celebrate our heritage, our resilience, and our unwavering spirit. Because when you know who you are and where you come from, there's nothing in the world that can shake your foundation. And you know, he's like, this version, or it could be she, honestly, but they're like, this version focuses more on the introspection, empowerment, steering away from the typical comedy tropes. And of course, you can make it read. Yo, this thing actually reads pretty freaking well. I heard it before. Let me see. This is if I can do it now.
I understand. Let's dial it back and focus more on the
Okay, so on my phone it sounds like a woman, but here it sounds like a fucking robot. But anyway, yeah. So again, that was lame. So I said, look, let's not do Dave, but my stand-up. Also, your second attempt was your best. Be funny. Get me laughing. Also tie in better economic habits, problems with the ruling and ruled classes, and how societies are fundamentally violent, and we just don't get it, with examples. So again, the AI does not understand what I'm saying. I was saying that, you know, like as a matter of fact, you know, societies are fundamentally violent, okay? And so you can't critique society for being violent. Now this thing, because it's a white American liberal, if you will, it's going to be like, oh no, violence is bad. Which is, again, you don't want that kind of mentality in your mind. You know what I mean? You want, like, for instance, you want to understand self-defense. You know? Brother McCarthy, what are you talking about? No, I'm doing a comedy set, and I'm asking the AI to refine the comedy set for me, so that I don't have to write one, because I can't write one. I'm low key. I don't know how to write no comedy. So this kind of gives you ideas on how to write, whatever topic you want to write. So he says, absolutely, let's infuse some humor into a stand-up while addressing economic habits, societal issues, and the underlying violence for society. Here's a comedic take on these topics. And here's what's really interesting, okay? Again, this is a machine that doesn't know you, but it has a lot of data on you, a lot of written data on you, right? And what it's going to say about you is pretty damn factual, okay? Basically, this AI already knows you have bad habits and bad patterns. Okay? And it basically means everybody knows you have bad habits and bad patterns. Anybody who studies long enough knows that you have bad patterns and bad habits. Right? And that's where our problems come in. So he goes, hey there, fellow Africans, let's dive straight into it tonight. You know you're in for a wild ride when your comedian is wearing a dashiki and talking about economic habits. Strap in, folks. Have you ever noticed how we Africans have this love-hate relationship with money? We'll spend a fortune on designer clothes and flashy cars, but when it comes to investing or saving, suddenly everyone's a financial guru. It's like we're allergic to compound interest or something. Now, I think this joke is said wrong, but I get what it's saying, right? I mean, I tried explaining the concept of saving to my cousin once, and he looked at me like I was speaking alien. He said, why save tomorrow when you can ball out today? I had to remind him that balling out today usually leads to crawling back tomorrow with an empty wallet. And let's talk about our ruling and ruled classes. It's like we're stuck in a never-ending game of musical chairs, except the music never stops, and the chairs are made of corruption and nepotism. One minute you're in power, living the high life. The next, you're dodging corruption charges faster than a cheetah chasing his dinner. So again, like the weird African joke, it's like cheetah. Who talks about cheetahs? And don't even get me started on society's obsession with violence. It's like we're all watched too many action movies and forgotten that real life isn't a Hollywood script. You've got politicians throwing shade at each other like it's a rap battle and then wonder why nothing ever gets done. I mean, take a look at our traffic jams. It's like Mad Max meets Mario Kart out there. You've got drivers cutting each other off, honking like there's a sale at the horn store, and all for what? To be stuck in the same spot for hours. Talk about a case of road rage-induced amnesia. But hey, amidst all the chaos and craziness, there's something beautiful about being African. We've got a resilience that's unmatched, a spirit that refuses to be broken, and a sense of humor that can turn even the darkest of days into a comedy sketch. So here's to us, flawed but fabulous, navigating this roller coaster called life with style, grace, and a whole lot of laughter. You exit the stage with so forth. I'm like, pretty good. Make it 15 minutes, but be deep and insightful. You're pretty funny when you want to be, right? So again, I thought it was a little funny when I first read it. It's not really funny in retrospect, but but anyway, absolutely. And it's not going to be 15 minutes. It's going to be like 2 minutes. But again, this is a machine that doesn't have a sense of time. Diving deep into the societal issue while maintaining a humorous and insightful tone. All right, my fellow Africans, buckle up. We're about to take a 15-minute joyride through the roller coaster of life, complete with twists, turns, and a whole lot of laughs. Strap in, folks, and let's get deep. Let's talk about money, honey. Ever notice how, and you see the little, let's talk about money, honey, right? Like, what the fuck is that? Maybe he thinks I'm a woman, I don't know. Ever notice how we've mastered the art of spending, but struggle with the concept of saving? It's like we're living in a perpetual buy now, regret later sale. We'll drop stacks on the latest gadgets and gizmos, but when it comes to investing in our future, suddenly everyone's an expert in procrastination. Now again, this is a machine, never met you in its life. But when you talk about money with it, it says this is your bad habit. That's pretty fascinating, right? But here's the thing, folks. Our economic habits aren't just about money. They're a reflection of our values. We've been conditioned to prioritize instant gratification over long-term security, to chase after material possessions instead of meaningful experiences. It's time we flip the script and started investing in ourselves, our communities, and our collective future. Actually, I wasn't really paying attention, but you hear that though. He's like, economic habits aren't just about money. They're a reflection of our values. Okay? We've been conditioned to prioritize instant gratification over long-term security, to chase after material possessions instead of meaningful. And, this is a pretty interesting chapter. This is a pretty interesting paragraph. I can tell you guys this. One of the first, I heard Amos Wilson before a lot of people. Okay? I want to say 10, 15 years ago. But when I started writing down quotes and stuff, one of the quotes I remembered was something like, I think it's money, something value, we pay for what we value, something like that. Money, maybe signifies, I'm gonna sit down. But money signifies value, we pay for what we value, or something like that. I'm gonna try to look it up low key. Let me see if I can find it. And you guys can't see the page, but let's see if I can find it. Yeah, it says money follows value. We pay for what we value. Okay? That's what Amos Wilson said. And so you could kind of see that this AI, or you can see that what he was talking about it's advice that people would have given. It's learned advice. It's learned advice. So he says our economic habits aren't just about money, they're a reflection of our values. This is the AI. It's not, you're not saying AI, can you give me some Amos Wilson quotes, right? This is just an AI that is saying that, right? So anyway, let's keep going. It says, now let's talk about our ruling and ruled classes. It's like we're stuck in this never-ending cycle of power struggles and political drama, with the ruling class playing musical chair while the rest of us watch on the sidelines, wondering when it'll be our turn to take a seat. But here's the reality, folks. Here's the reality check, folks. Those chairs are reserved for the elite, and the music only stops for them. But what if I told you that true power doesn't come from a title or position? It comes from unity, from solidarity, from standing together as one voice against injustice and inequality. Now again, this right here is going to take it, it's shut the fuck up, you messed it up. But unity, organization, solidarity, those are good things. It's time we redefine what it means to be powerful and reclaimed our voice from those who seek to silence us with those empty promises and empty pockets. And let's not forget about the elephant in the room, violence. It's everywhere we look, from the streets to the boardrooms, from the headlines to the history books. But here's the thing, folks. Violence isn't just physical, it's systemic. It's the silent killer lurking beneath the surface, eroding our community, dividing our nations, and perpetuating cycles of poverty and oppression. But here's the silver lining, my friends. Awareness is the first step towards change, and humor is our secret weapon. Now again, the AI is fucking clueless. It's really stupid. It's like a stupid white liberal, honestly. Hopefully you can't hear me, right? Because stupid white liberal, stupid white liberal or not, it probably could shoot pretty damn good. You know what I'm saying? All right. So anyway, but shining a light on the absurdities of life by finding laughter in the face of adversity, we reclaim our power, we reclaim our humanity, and we reclaim our hope for a brighter tomorrow. So again, this is kind of like what a white man wants a black man to be. Be a protester, be an activist, look for humor in situations and shit like that. And again, part of it, the humor part, is because I acted for a comedy set, but at the same time. So tonight, let's laugh, let's learn, and let's lean into the discomfort of confronting the hard truth of our existence. Because when we dare to dive deep, when we dare to challenge the status quo, that's when real change happens. Thank you for joining me on this journey of self-discovery and societal exploration. Let's go out and make some noise. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So I think this is my last two. Let me see. Yeah, okay, my last two. So I just said, look, I want you to do this. So this is the thing about the AI. Again, this is really fast responses, really fast replies. And what you could do is you could just refine it and refine it and refine it until it produces what you want. Or until it gives you something that you can edit, independently, right? So it goes, okay. So I say, okay, so that's not 15 minutes. Instead, you did something interesting. You offered pairs of paragraphs where the second offered insight. So you kind of see he's like highlighting problems of the ruling class, offering insight, or addressing economic habits, offering insight, right? So I said, you did something interesting, right? And again, it kind of lets you build off of it, because now you're like, okay, this is a good template that I could use, right? You offered pairs of paragraphs with a second offered insight. Let's continue this trend and build a set together. I think we should have designated punchlines and 10 pairs. We can constantly update the same template, so I prefer you to fill in the pieces that I curate and see what's good versus what isn't. I'll suggest 5 punchlines for now, but I want you to offer 10 pairs, partly to showcase your ability, and feel free to do like before and act like I have a silly relative. Also, no need to continually promote laughter and comedy. It's implied that I like it as a medium. So here's 5 punchlines, topics. Those who spend a lot today will beg a lot tomorrow. Marry before you carry because no one commits after childbirth if they didn't commit before. Socialism is an imaginary economy that didn't work in Africa, and cite Nyerere. If you don't manufacture your own weapons, you'll be ruled by those who do. And last is, you don't have political power because you don't have economical power. Politics is beholden to economics. So again, these are actually some ideas in the last book, Uangalifu. So for those of you who don't have it, I know Brother Bakari got it, so shout out to Brother Bakari. But for those of you who don't have the book, I don't know if Tyler got his yet. I don't know, but he ain't brag about it, so I don't know. But for those of you who don't have the book, these are some of the things you'll see in the book. But anyway, so he goes, absolutely, let's build on that. Here are 10 pairs of paragraphs, each followed by a designated punchline. So I think he does 5 pairs, right? Because the AI is kind of stupid. I'm not going to hold you. But it is what it is. It says, look, addressing economic habits. I kind of want to stand up again. Have you ever noticed how we've mastered the art of spending but struggle with the concept of saving? It's like we're living in a perpetual buy now, regret later sale. We'll drop stacks on the latest gadgets and gizmos, and when it comes to investing in our future, suddenly everyone's an expert in procrastination. But here's the truth, my friend. Those who spend a lot today will beg a lot tomorrow. It's time we break the cycle of instant gratification and start investing in ourselves and our future. Because financial security is not just about having money. It's about having options. Okay? That's not bad. That's a pretty good thing. All right. Let's talk relationships, folks. You ever notice how, and he always says, you ever notice, like a fucking, anyway. You ever notice how some people only want to commit after the baby carriage shows up? It's like they're waiting for a stork to deliver a wake-up call. But newsflash, folks, if you didn't commit before the crib, chances are you won't commit after the kid. Marry before you carry because no one commits after childbirth if they didn't commit before. It's about building a foundation of trust, love, and commitment before bringing another life into the equation. Because babies are a blessing, but they're not a magic fix for a broken relationship. So let's see, Brother Carter says, you do know that whoever created AI input all the negative things about black people. Yeah, I mean, it's one of them liberal white boys, you know? I'll put it that way. It's one of them liberal white boys. So sometimes it's like overcompensating, you know? But the most of that is going to be negative. I mean, obviously it's interesting. I'll put it that way. So what I would say for that, just for people, because it's like, you know, what Brother Carter said is very true, you know? So one of the things that I wanted to do with this, I wanted to see if it could make a comedy set, but also, you know, there's like a format and formulation for writing comedy. Because I'll tell you guys this, I tried to write comedy before, and it was bad. You know what I mean? It was bad. So, like sometimes you just need like a little bit of formatting at least. And so this kind of gave you the punchline and the paragraph, the big economics and the insight. I think that's a practical thing that I didn't implement the first time I tried to write a comedy set. So he goes, let's talk economics, shall we? Some people think socialism is the answer to all our problems. But let me tell you, my friends, it's like chasing a unicorn in Sahara. Sure, it sounds magical in theory, but in practice, it's about as effective as using a sieve to carry water. Socialism is an imaginary economy that never worked in Africa. Just ask Julius Nyerere how the experiment turned out in Tanzania. It's time we focused on pragmatic solutions that empower individuals and communities to thrive, not rely on handouts from the government. And then, of course, it goes on. Ever wonder why some countries seem to have all the power? It's not because they have bigger armies or fancier uniforms. It's because they control the means of production, including weapons manufacturing. If you don't manufacture your own weapons, you'll be ruled by those who do. It's a harsh reality, but it's true. If you don't manufacture your own weapons, you'll be ruled by those who do. It's time we took control of our destiny and invested in industries that ensure our sovereignty and security. So again, it keeps doing that. It's time, it's time, it's time. And the trouble with that "it's time" thing is that it starts, after a while, it starts sounding like you're giving a lecture or some shit, And then this was the last one. He says, "Let's talk politics, folks. Ever wonder why you don't have political power? It's not because you don't vote or protest. It's because you don't have economic power. Politics is beholden to economics, my friends. It's like trying to steer a ship without a rudder. It's time we connect the dots." I say again, it's time. And he's going to say, it's time. And I'm pointing right now, but it's like, it's time. It's time. It's time we connected the dots and recognized the political power flows from economic power. If we want to have a seat at the table, we need to build our own table first. It's time we took ownership of our economic destiny and demanded a seat at the political table. Right? And he gives you the punchline again. I say, okay, organize 10 similar thoughts. So again, I didn't read this one yet, because I just kind of wrote it and I went to bed because I was like, all right. So I organized 10 similar thoughts, but don't disrupt it with the punchline. Also, you say, it's time too much. It comes off more as a lecture and motivational speech than a comedy set. Moreover, I don't need African American lingo or African references. Granted, if one is necessary, it's fine, but if it's forced, it'll come off as an imposter, right? And so, again, it's not going to do 10, it's going to do 5, it looks like. So I'm just going to finish with this. Well, I'm going to do this. If anybody has any more comments, keep the comments coming. But it's just, ever notice how some folks spend like there's no tomorrow, only to find themselves scrambling for change the next day? It's like they're living in a perpetual cycle of splurge and struggle with no thought for the future. But here's the kicker. Financial security isn't about what you spend today, it's about what you save for tomorrow. Too often we chase after instant gratification only to be left high and dry when the bill comes knocking. It's time we flipped the script and started making smarter financial choices because, let's face it, those who spend recklessly today will be begging for spare change tomorrow. Let's talk about love and commitment, shall we? Ever notice how some folks suddenly want to put a ring on it after the baby carriage rolls in? It's like they're trying to play catch up with Cupid. But here's the real deal. If you don't commit before the crib, chances are you won't commit after the kid. Building a solid foundation of trust and commitment takes time, my friends. It's not something you could rush or manufacture overnight. So before you start pushing strollers, make sure you've laid the groundwork for a relationship that can weather any storm. Let's talk about economic theory for a minute. So again, its transitions are trash, but whatever. Some people swear by socialism as the answer to all our problems, but let's be real, folks. It's like chasing a mirage in the desert. Sure, it looks good on paper, but in practice, it's about as effective as using a sieve to carry water. History has shown us time and time again that socialism is a pipe dream that never quite pans out. Instead of chasing after utopian fantasies, let's focus on practical solutions that empower individuals and communities to thrive on their own terms. Ever wonder why some nations tend to hold all the cards? It's not because they have bigger guns or fancier uniforms. It's because they control the means of production, including weapons manufacturing. If you don't produce your own arsenal, you're at the mercy of those who do. National security isn't just a military might. It's about economic independence. It's time we took control of our own destiny and invested in industries and safeguard our sovereignty and protect our interests. Now let's talk about power dynamics, folks. Ever wonder why you feel like you're always on the losing end of that stick? It's not because you don't vote or protest. It's because you don't hold economic reins. Politics may be the stage, but economics pulls the string behind the scenes. It's time we connected the dots and realized that political power flows from economic power. If we want a seat at the table, we need to build our own table first. It's time we took ownership of our economic destiny and demanded a voice in shaping our collective future. So let me know your thoughts and how I can, So anyway, so it's not bad. And so obviously I only really read this so I could be a little shorter. You know what I mean? Because I think reading the Twitter was kind of lame, but I guess this is lame too. It's hard to know what's not lame, you know? But I want to show you guys the speed of this thing, because some people ain't never used it. I know, I bet Tyler used it, because Tyler's, you know, he's balling. But yeah, I know some people, I know, might not be a thing for most people. So I'm going to show you guys how quick it works. So let me think of a punchline. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to think of a punchline that might have been in my book. I mean, I might bring up my book and try to find a punchline. And you guys can just see how fast it types, really. Because it's just like, it's kind of crazy how fast it is. But, you know, of course, if you deal with programming, and I deal with programming, you kind of pick up on, you know, machines are pretty damn fast anyway. So I'm going to look at the different chapters I have. Okay, so I'm not going to do that chapter because it's not going to agree with me. But let's see. I have different chapters. I have territorial, party, gendered. Let's see. Marriage, oligarchy, ma'at. Okay, so here's the thing. So chapter 16, page 253 says, the solution is a global fellowship of Africanist magnates. So what we're going to say is, give me a joke. And I'm just doing this to show you guys how fast it is, right? Give me a joke with a punchline and insights for the solution for Africa is a global fellowship of pro-African magnates. Cite how Europe and Asia have global fellowships of pro-Europe and pro-Asia magnates, respectively. Okay? So I just want to show you guys how fast it is. So I'm going to press enter, and because my internet's not that quick, but look at this motherfucker. Look at this. So again, it's gonna use my language exactly. But yeah, it's already finished. So he goes, and of course it writes everything pretty much at the same speed. But it goes, you ever notice how Europe has their squad of pro-Europe magnates and Asia got their crew of pro-Asia big shots? Meanwhile, Africa just out here like, hey, can we get a seat at the cool kids table? This is a motherfucking hater though, I ain't gonna hold you. It's like we're the kid with the homemade lunch trying to trade for a slice of pizza. That actually wasn't a bad joke. But hey, maybe it's time Africa started out our own global fellowship of pro-African magnates. You know, to level the playing field. But in all seriousness, folks, the idea of a global fellowship of pro-African magnates isn't as far-fetched as it sounds. Look at Europe and Asia. They've been playing the global game for centuries, building alliances and leveraging their economic power on the world stage. It's time Africa stepped up to the plate and took control of our own narratives. By uniting our resources, talent, and influence, we can pave the way for a brighter future for the continent and its people. So here's to dreaming big and making it happen, one magnate at a time. And so that's pretty much it, you know. And like I said, we got Tyler Solomon, who's the magnate. Right, the Pan-African magnate, right? Among many, right? I know some people sitting there like, "Hey, it's me." All right, look, you can have more. Like I said, these white boys got more than one. The whole thing that they do, and I'll end it here, I guess, because we don't really got too many comments. But the whole thing that white folk do is that they have their big shots and their magnates. Okay, and the reason why I'm using the word magnate is because I'm citing an ancient. The story, the letter to Merikari, okay? So in a lot of my books, I repeat the letter to Merikari, okay? And in fact, I think I could probably show you guys. But I repeat it in the Book of Power particularly. But the important thing about the letter is that here you have this. No, I'll just read it from the. Because I have this book open, from Uangalifu, right? Let me see if I can find it. Because there's several quotes, but one of them is yeah, okay, I'll look for the full quote because He has it, but he doesn't. Like I have it, but I don't have it. I don't have the full quote. I have the full quote in the Book of Power because that's where I wanted you guys to. That's the first book I had. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna find that quote, and then we can go from there. So what we're going to do is we're going to change this window to Book of Power, and then it's a little zoomed in, I know. So we're going to search for the instructions of Mercari on page 456. It looks like. Here you go. And what we're going to do is we're going to zoom out here, and then we're going to fix this window in. Okay, it's not that bad. In the OBS, and it goes. This is Mercari advising his son. He says, "Look, be skilled." Now, this is one of the best freaking letters on the planet. Okay, I could read it in full, but he's like, "Lo, the miserable Eurasian," right? I think, and of course, in the original he says, "Lo, the miserable Asiatic," but it's pretty much the same thing, right? Lo, the miserable Eurasian. He is wretched because of the place he's in. Short of water, bare of wood, its paths are many and painful because of mountains. So he's like, look, these Europeans, these Asians, they are wretched because where they come from, it doesn't have much water, doesn't have much wood, and it has many paths and many mountains. And he goes, he does not dwell in one place, right? He's always like, and if you know history, there used to be shepherding, there used to be nomadic shepherds, okay? Food propels his legs. Basically, he's always like he's looking for food. He fights since the time of Heru. And again, this is not a modern day African, right? This is an ancient African who sees the Europeans and he's like, these motherfuckers been fighting us since the time of Heru. But check this out. He says, not conquering nor being conquered. So back in those days, white folk couldn't conquer anybody, but they also couldn't be conquered. But he says he does not announce the day of combat. So he's just kind of like guerrilla warfare. White boys used to be guerrilla warfare. Like a thief who darts about a group, right? The Eurasian is a crocodile on the shore. It snatches from a lonely road, but it cannot seize from a populous town. So basically, if you had a big town, like if you were walking on the street, a European might attack you like a fucking bandit or a fucking thief or whatever. But if you were in a city, he couldn't attack you. This was, again, a long, long time ago. This is back when black people had power and black people were the leading power. And this is what they said about Europeans. Now, things have changed. They can attack your populous cities, but that's why you got to stay ahead of them. But here's another thing. He says, look, be skillful in speech that you may be strong. It is the strength of the tongue, and words are braver than all fighting. None can. So he's like, look, being skilled at speech is better than even being a skilled fighter. Okay? None can circumvent the clever man on the mat. A wise man is a school of for the magnates. So this is where I got the word magnates from. A wise man is a school for the magnates, and those who are aware of his knowledge do not attack him. Okay? Those who are aware of his knowledge, so the wealthy, if you will, they don't attack knowledgeable people. Okay? And here's the thing about, if you go back in the times of like ancient wars when they used to because they used to kidnap people and enslave them, blah, 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 blah. Like they would attack towns to capture professors. They would attack towns to capture teachers and professors. Anyway, so crime does not exist near him, but Ma'at comes to him in full essence, as in the manner of what the ancestors said. Copy your forefathers, for work is carried out through knowledge. See their words endure in writing. Open that you may read and copy knowledge. Even the expert will become one day instructed. So why I think this is important is because this is a king telling his son, be wise so that people don't attack you. So even the king would be attacked by this class of people. So what I'm saying is that when you start saying the global fellowship, it's not a European solution. It's an African solution that European people adopted. Or it's an African solution, or it's a human solution, or if you will. Or basically it's an African solution that, it's basically what I said the first time, right? Or just like everybody's solution. So what I'm saying is that, everybody got to understand, one thing you want to do is for yourself, become that magnate. Become that important person, right? Like I said, Dave Chappelle could get an air with the elites. Now, he's not necessarily a magnate per se, but the elites are. You know, so if you get an audience with the king of Ghana or the president of Ghana, you know, you're doing something. You know, you're doing something. I was just telling my wife the other day. I was like, you can like if the president of Tanzania wanted to, you know, have dinner at our house, would you prepare a plate? And she's like, yeah, of course. You know, now of course the president of Tanzania is not going to want to eat at my house anytime soon. But you want to, at some point, set up your life such that, yeah, the president of an African country may come to eat at your house. You know, and you want to form that fellowship with other people so that when you want to get shit done politically, you know, you've got it done. But again, you have to be one of those people who are instrumental economically. And that's what the magnates were. Anyway, so that's pretty much the entirety of the podcast. I appreciate everybody for coming through, stopping by. We got Tyler Solomon and Brother Bakari. It looks like we had 5 people or 6 people at max, which is a respectable number. Let me see. No, it was 4 people at max. So no, 5 people at max. So appreciate everybody who was out here, even momentarily. And other than that, you know, appreciate your time. Like I told you guys, I have this book out, Uangalifu. Really good book. I didn't get any reviews yet. It's still at 0 stars and all that kind of stuff, but it's still fine. I want you guys to check it out. And look, I understand why somebody wouldn't put a review on a public website, because people can look at your review history and all that shit. So it's all good if you don't feel like doing that. But yeah, I mean, because like my thing is this: I know the book is good. You know, I want more people to know the book is good, but I know the book is good. And right now I'm living a good life. You know, because I said let me write a book about how to have a good life and you know, apply the practices. So appreciate y'all. Right now it's 7 p.m. in Tanzania. So that's it. Appreciate your time, and Shemim Hotep, Uncle Ja, Sendeb Neb, Amen, Ma'at, Dua Necher.